Welcome to Aditya Birla Health Insurance's Health from Home series. I'm Dr. Aditi Govitrikar, a medical doctor and a counselor. With COVID-19 spread and the extended lockdown, there are a lot of things that must be running through your mind. How to deal with this lockdown? What is this new normal? How do I protect my financial future? I'm sure there are many more. But right now, I'm sure the two most important things on your mind are health and wealth. To build an everlasting bond with the customers and the community at large, Aditya Birla Health Insurance has come up with the Health from Home series. This would help in relieving the stress related to physical, mental, and nutritional health. There are sessions every day conducted by the experts of the respective fields of yoga, nutrition, fitness, and health to throw light on the current scenario and help us deal with the current COVID situation. Today, we have with us Mr. Mayank Bhatwal, the Chief Executive Officer of Aditya Birla Health Insurance. Mr. Mayank has a rich experience of nearly 26 years in the industry. Mr. Mayank has been responsible for setting up the latest venture of Aditya Birla Capital Limited, a truly digital health insurance company in India. This has resulted in making ABHI one of the fastest growing standalone health insurer in financial year 2019. Mayank is the co-chair of FICCI Health Insurance Committee and a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ICAI, the Institute of Cost and Works Accountants of India, ICWA, and the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, ICSI. Mayank has been the recipient of several personal and professional recognition and has been felicitated at the annual CFO Roll of Honor thrice. He has also received the prestigious Aditya Birla Group Award 2020 in the Outstanding Leader category. Welcome, Mr. Bhatwal.
My
I
pleasure.
would, I would also like to welcome Dr. Hari Prasad, who is the president of Apollo Group of Hospitals. Dr. Hari Prasad is a popular figure, not just because he helps one of the largest healthcare organizations of the country, but also because he's extremely popular erstwhile cricketing star. He was one of the youngest Ranji Trophy players, having represented Hyderabad while he was still at school, and played alongside stalwarts such as Muhammad Azharuddin, M.V. Narasimha Rao, W.V. Raman. After completing his post-graduation in anesthesiology, he joined his father at their family-run Sridevi Nursing Home in Hyderabad. But then, when no one expected him, Dr. Hari joined Apollo Hospitals and went ahead to set up emergency services across Apollo units in the country, which is why he's often regarded as the pioneer of emergency medicine in India. On the personal front, he has faced several difficulties, including cancer, which he overcame with grit and determination. I Am Possible is the book that is his first foray into writing. Welcome, Dr. Hari Prasad. Dr. Hari Prasad, you've been a cricketer who has now become a doctor. So health has always obviously been very important to you. How are you keeping fit during this time personally, physically and mentally?
Well, Aditi, these few weeks since COVID started have been the busiest weeks at work. We've been continuously at work because we are responsible for responding to the community, the need of the community, which was COVID. And we had the additional responsibility of not just taking care of the patients, but we had to take care of the staff and the doctors and prevent them from being infected themselves. So it has been a busy couple of weeks. And I come what may, wherever I'm traveling, I have a fixed schedule and I don't let that go by. I wake up by 5 o'clock in the morning, exercise for 90 minutes. I'm at work by 9 o'clock. Then I have my dinner at 7:30 and go to bed by 9 o'clock. That's my schedule every day. And I didn't have this, I mean, I don't know if it's an opportunity or the problem of staying at home, because I was continuously at work even on working day, even on holidays, because we had that responsibility of taking care of the patient and the people who work with us.
Right, blurred lines is the new norm. Working from home is causing it. But be careful. If you make a timetable, then it is possible, like Dr. Hari Prasad shared, that he wakes up at 5 a.m., works out, and makes sure that he sleeps on time, that he gets adequate sleep, which is one of the things which we don't pay attention to. So follow his lead. He knows what he's saying because he's experienced it. He walks the talk. So thank you for sharing your timetable with us, Dr. Prasad. Mayank, how are you ensuring balancing work from home, work, and your fitness regime?
So, it's interesting, Aditi, because as Dr. Prasad said, what we all realize that it's not just work from home, actually it's work for home and work at home. Because all of us are now, when you're at home, suddenly you realize that your, spouse doesn't have a, help at home. So, she needs help. Or, like in my case, my son who's in US is back here. So he has a, living in India, but a US timeline in terms of, because of, his college is going on. So, it's a different, of course, there's happiness of being at home, but it's also creating stress at a different level because the working hours have kind of blurred a bit. It's not, exactly as it used to be. And especially for some of, businesses like ours, I'm sure it must be same for Dr. Prasad. But for us, where some things can come up at different timeline because of essential services business. So it was very important for me, therefore, to make sure that it should there has to be a rhythm in what's happening through the day. And as what you and Dr. Prasad said, that a schedule is very important. So if I have to work from home, it's important that my working hours, I must feel that I'm at work and I'm not kind of getting digressed and in other things as well. So I typically again start my day at 9:15. Have my interactions with the teams. I'm talking more to my to the larger team right now, because it's important to get a sense of how people are dealing with this whole stress. Because if someone like me is feeling that it's a little different from what I had expected, what's happening to people across the hierarchies, especially people who are living with in smaller houses, have larger families to talking to them and dealing with all of those issues, helping them get comfort that we are there, providing all support. We recently had a situation where one of our employee had his wife who was expecting, she got COVID infected, but fortunately we were able to help her with that situation. And so it's these kind of issues which keep coming up and you have to deal with, help your employees. But in that, can't forget about the health. And since as an organization we talk about health first, it's important that we all kind of, including myself, we are able to demonstrate that we live that as a way of life. So, and health has been very important for me personally. So I used to have a regime. Typically I would go out and go for a run or walk, which unfortunately is restricted. So then one has to find different ways of yoga and also using the health from home facility that experts are there available. So of course that's an opportunity for us. But when you are working with your spouse and help, and of course there's other elements of physical work that in some way also helps you stay a little healthy. But the other thing is what I heard Dr. Prasad also say, eating. I think eating habits are very important. Nutrition becomes extremely important in these times. And for us, for me personally, that's very important, that just because I'm at home doesn't mean that I'll just go and pick up something and start eating. So following that regime is important. And lastly, I used to be often on my meditation. But one thing that I've definitely benefited in these times is that I'm extremely regular on that now. That definitely helps me deal with the stress. And different people will have different ways of using what's the right way of meditation. Because to me, meditation is sometimes not just just sitting down and doing breathing, but it's also about just finding time for yourself, focusing on what you're doing, and just getting that. So I wouldn't say, the stress is completely gone, because it does manifest at different times in different ways. But at least that has helped me deal with it much more effectively than otherwise. These times I need to work and home and very important, I must say.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate your sharing that you have taken to meditation, because I very strongly believe in meditation. And the myth that surrounds meditation is that, oh, you have to sit quietly in one spot, close your eyes, and then meditate. But meditation really is a way of life. To acquire that stillness, even in the midst of chaos, is pretty much meditation. But to learn that, to begin with, yes, you have to sit still, be silent, so that you get in touch with that stillness which exists in all of us. So thank you for sharing that, because meditation is a topic which is really close to my heart. But coming back to the insurance policies, any steps taken by Aditya Birla? You did say that claim processes have been made simpler, but how is it that you made it a lot more convenient for your customers, especially during this time?
Yeah, so important point, Aditi, because there are 2, 3, 4 aspects here. One is typically, if a customer gets into a situation of a emergency or an hospitalization where they need, so how do you reach out? How do you contact the insurance company? And because today many of the contact centers are not working fully, right? So our first effort was to make sure that the ability of a customer or the family to communicate with us was still available. So we were able to work with our partners to get calling from home at home. So that facility is completely open even today. So our call center partners are now working at from home, and all our customers can continue to call us. We are able to respond that, and we have put claims as an absolute priority there. So it takes priority over any other kind of communication with the customers, so that that process is not in any way compromised. Secondly is that the conversation that we have with the hospitals. So we spoke to most of our hospital partners, and and agreed that because in these times the flow of information and documents may not be as is usual, because both sides are facing some kind of process shifts. So how do you make sure that that process doesn't in any way inconvenience the customer because of authorization and so on and so forth. So we have taken calls of providing flexibility, where even if the documents are not there, with many of our long-term partners, we have taken call that just based on their assurance, we'll go ahead and we'll get documents later on. Similarly, at the discharge time, we don't necessarily wait for everything to come, and we say that we'll take care of that separately with the hospital. So we've created enough flexibilities in the processes. Then if the customers have to share some documents with us, especially where they do reimbursement claims, fortunately we had put in all kind of digital processes, so they can scan the documents and send it. We have allowed them this flexibility that the physical documents need not reach us, because couriers are not necessarily working today. So both for the hospitals and for the customers, we provide claims processing and benefits even on digital documents, scanned documents, and we can wait for physical documents later on because there are some regulatory requirements there. And more can be done. And I think one of the things that we are doing constantly is talking to our healthcare partners, so that if whatever concerns we understand from them or through them, if there are other areas for us to modify our processes. Plus, we have a concept called care managers, and these are paramedics. And what they do is that they, through the claim process, they stay in touch with the customer's family, the patient's family, and make sure that if there's any help required during that journey, because it's stressful time, and this is now even more stressful because even if it's COVID, of course, it's stressful. Even if it's non-COVID, patients are not very, even though hospitals are much more safer than other places, but still there is that nagging concern in their mind that what will happen. So we try and kind of act as a bridge, and so there's a triage of what I call the patient, provider, and the payer. How can, between the three of us, we, deal in a way that all three are, feeling comfortable with the process, and especially the patient, who's most important in these times.
That is such a relief to hear that there is really a company that cares for us and is there to handhold us in case any difficult situation comes in our lives. So that gives me a personal sense of relief as well, Mr. Bhatwal. Dr. Hari Prasad, what is your opinion on how we should live this new normal? Of course, you've shared with us to create the timetable, but the part of the question, the main part of the question is that how does one prepare to go back to a different, so to say, regular work life than before?
Sure. I think this is not the first pandemic that we've seen. We've had many, many pandemics in the past. And each pandemic changed the way the human race behaved. It made it mandatory for the change. I'll just give you an example. When HIV came in, the sexual behavior of individuals had to change for good. And similarly, with COVID, there has to be behavioral change. If somebody is hoping for COVID to disappear, that's not going to happen. COVID is going to become a part of our environment, and we have to learn to live with COVID. Like we learn to live with many other infectious diseases like tuberculosis, dengue, or just common cold, influenza. So we learn to live with them, and we need to learn to live with COVID. And if somebody is waiting for COVID to disappear to get back to work, then they will be at home for the rest of their lives. So the best thing is to make the behavioral changes and come back to work. What this period of lockdown has done, apart from trying to create the infrastructure for a surge in the number of cases, has also given time for individuals for changing their behavioral patterns. The new normal is increased hand hygiene. Everybody has to become a part of the life. There's no question about it. The cough etiquette, the sneeze etiquette needs to change. Social distancing is another going to be a new normal, which everybody needs to maintain. And then a lot of us who travel would see that a lot of Chinese and Japanese would be wearing masks, and the rest of us, the Asians and the Europeans, would be roaming around in the airports and wherever on the flight without a mask. That's because they've been exposed to so many more viruses that wearing a mask has become a part of their routine. So I guess with COVID, wearing a mask when you're in crowded places, when you're outside, has to become a part of the routine. And it's probably, you would have to way of handling things when you are supposed to be in a big gathering, large gatherings. So best is to avoid them. But if you have to attend them, you need to take the precautions. And the one big change which the world is going to see and which everybody needs to get used to is the digital change that is going to come about, whether it is shopping, whether it is payments, whether it is enrolling for a program, whether it's buying an insurance, or even getting a insurance pre-auth process or a claim process. There's going to be a lot of digital transactions that are going to happen, and the world has to make no touch the norm, because that's going to be one of the ways that we can prevent the virus from spreading from one place to another. So change is inevitable, and unless you adapt to the change, I think you're going to find it difficult in the environment that is going to exist from now onwards.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, change is the only constant in life. We all know that, but now we are actually experiencing it. And do keep in mind that social distancing is going to be a new norm. The earlier we accept it, the easier it will be for us. It will cause a lot less anxiety and go digital. I mean, that is the only way forward, really. Mr. Bhatwal, what do you see? How do you see post-COVID world? How do you look at it?
I think some of the stuff has been covered by Dr. Prasad, but so I would say pick up issues beyond the medical and the health world, and I think everyone individually and businesses and communities will have to definitely rethink and reimagine in these times. So whilst there will be an impact in the medium and term on the lines that we just heard of social distancing and follow proper hygiene routines and all, but I think in addition, I think this is also sometimes you need triggers, and a trigger for each one of us to think about ourselves individually and, as part of communities or teams or organizations that we are all, that what is it that we need to do to continue to thrive in these times? Because one is that we can get into this whole mindset of being a victim and, get into stress. The other thing is that here's an opportunity to reimagine, rethink, and how do you grow out of this? Because if experts like Dr. Prasad are saying that this is the way of, of life, and you have to live with COVID, because who knows whether there'll finally be a vaccine or not, whether this will go away or not, then you have to find a way to live with it, with of course all precautions. So individually, are there other areas, are there other skills that I need to pursue, and acquire? If digital is going to become the way of life, then how ready am I in to deal with that? Because if organizations are going to adopt digital way of life, because if consumers are now going to prefer digital interactions, if consumers are going to prefer touchless interactions, if consumers are going to kind of expect organizations to respond to that, then as part of organizations, it's very important that we are ready to deal with and be part of that journey of our organizations, especially where we are working in an organization. And even if we are self-employed, if we have our own businesses, we'll have to find a way of, making sure that our offerings are, something that consumers can access digitally, or, we can thrive in the new world. So I think there are a lot of, if we think about it in a positive manner, then I think there's a lot to learn and to move ahead. And that's what, to my mind, is important. As for example, we have, I'm sure you've heard of an insurance agent, right? A typical insurance agent sells face to face. They will call you up, they'll seek an appointment, they'll come to your office or home and sell. Now, when we started talking to them after the lockdown, the first response was, rejection. No, how can I deal with, a digital world? And then, we kept speaking to them. And I'm just giving you an example, right? So, and we make them realize that, do you think that even after COVID, lockdown opens up, people will say, come sit with me and, sell insurance? No, that's not going to happen. So you'll have to learn a new skill. And therefore now they are more willing. Many of our advisors are now, agents or advisors as we call them, are now able to call up people on phone, sell on phone, use digital mediums to complete the sales on phone, and so on and so forth. So this is just one example. Similarly, each line of business will have to think about how do you, reimagine and retool yourself in the world ahead. Because, even after COVID, let's assume COVID goes away in whatever time frame that our medical fraternity will find an answer. But it's not that consumers' preference will suddenly change back. You will have to be, that's going to change. So every pandemic, as Dr. Prasad said, brings certain changes. And I think this is going to bring some major permanent changes in the way consumers interact, in the way we all with, organizations. And as part of an organization, that's what we're trying to get ready with.
Absolutely. I mean, what I think is that this time has given all of us an opportunity to look at our own lives, assess what we've been doing. And actually, if you put the context of thriving to your life and to the work that you're doing, it is a great opportunity to thrive. I mean, I've seen many businesses actually start in this time, and they're doing extremely well. So for the businesses that exist, they have to start looking at this whole pandemic from that aspect. Because like Dr. Hari Prasad said, it's not going to go anywhere. The virus is here to stay. So the earlier we accept it and the earlier we incorporate the changes and make sure that those work for our benefit, I think all of us can definitely thrive. Then we will not have a conversation about anxiety, panic, and the negative, so to say, vibrations that we've been creating. Dr. Hari Prasad, you've written a book on your life, I Am Possible. Can you share some key insights from the book that will motivate all of us here and watching to stay positive?
I think in today's context, you already said that change is inevitable. Change is the only constant. And my life has been like that. It's been full of peaks and valleys. And just at a time when I was getting comfortable with life at a particular stage, there would be a sudden, something would happen and then there would be a deep valley. And then I had to again climb back. So the whole, I mean, it happened at regular intervals. and throughout my life. So that's the reason I thought I should capture it into a book. I'll just mention a couple of instances where things happened. I'd just become the president of Apollo Group of Hospitals, which was a large responsibility, and I was at the height of my career. And I was looking forward for the opportunity to make a difference for the group and for the community through the group. And within 3 months of that, I had just gone to US and come back. And I was a diabetic, so they do a blood test for me for the sugar every day, every month. So that day the guy came and took my blood for blood sugar estimation, and he called me back half an hour later and said he'd taken 2 ml of additional blood and what additional tests I wanted him to do. I said, don't do anything extra, just throw 2 ml of blood away and do my blood sugars. But a couple of hours later, I got a call from the lab asking me to rush to the lab. I thought there must have been some problem there, and I need to do some firefighting. When I went there, everything was calm and looked normal. But when I went into the pathologist's room, she was looking very glum and sad. And she wouldn't talk or look into my eyes. Then the medical oncologist walked into the room, and then they broke the news that 2 ml of blood, which was drawn extra, they did a complete blood picture, and they found signs of blood cancer in that 2 ml of blood. And I had to undergo chemotherapy, and because I was susceptible for infections with that type of cancer, and on with chemotherapy, I had to be isolated for all the 9 months of treatment. So just as I reached a peak as the president of the group, suddenly I fell with this cancer. Fortunately, I came out of it, but the great thing was I continued to work using the technology. I continued to work throughout the period of my treatment. And that kept me going, and that kept me motivated, and I was able to withstand the entire thing, and I came back to work 9 months later in the physical form. That is one thing where I was at a peak and then suddenly fell into a deep valley. Then after I came out of cancer, there was I was working in the same hospital for many years. So there was a lot of love and affection. A lot of people used to get connected on the phone, on the video, and talk to me. And I felt that I needed to give something back to them. So then I sat back and thought what else could happen apart from cancer to me. Then I realized that I was a potential candidate for a heart attack, for a stroke, because I was weighing 115 kgs at that point of time. So I said, if I had to be productive and I need to be alive and I need to be healthy, I need to lose my weight. So there were multiple suggestions like undergo a bariatric surgery to lose your weight. And I actually had helped a lot of people get bariatric surgery. But I decided that I would do it the natural way. And from that day, I changed my entire lifestyle. Like I told you, sleeping early, waking up early, doing the workout, there are different types of diets which I've described, but I created my own diet, which had minimum calories and minimum carbohydrates, but a balanced diet, which did not deprive the body of anything. So I created that. And it took me 2 years to lose 50 kgs of weight. I came down from 115 to 50 kgs. So when that happened, then everybody started saying that, did you undergo bariatric surgery? What did you do to lose this sort of weight? And stuff like that. So because of these, and many such instances happened in my life even before that. So I just put all those instances together and created the book and said, I am possible. Because I thought it would be motivational, because all of us go through peaks and valleys. And it is when we are in that valley that we need to be motivated the most. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what we all need to understand, and to make sure that my experiences are beneficial to even one individual. If it helps even one individual, I'm happy. So that's the reason the book came out, and I'm happy it did very well.
That is truly inspiring. I am feeling so inspired to look at my diet now, and I'm going to rework and make a few adjustments, because what you shared is so true, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how dark you're feeling right now, no matter how deep entrenched you are in your anxiety, panic, or any other negative emotion that you're feeling, remember there is light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you so much, Hari Prasad, for sharing that with us. Thank you, Mr. Batwal, for the insight.
Can I just make a point here, Aditi, I cannot miss this opportunity of saying, telling Dr. Prasad that, Dr. Prasad, this is really an inspirational story that you just shared. And I think for all of us and for everyone who will listen to this through this, the telecast of this I'm sure will gain a lot. I remember I met you in your days, and when I saw you first, I was little. I found a difference, and now I know the story. Truly inspirational, sir. We really are inspired by what you just shared with us.
Thank you, man. And Aditi, I just wanted to say you don't need to change your diet. You can go back and win the Mrs. World.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So thank you both of you for sharing your insights, your learnings, and this truly has inspired all of us. I'm sure that this discussion has helped you who's listening in to us, who's watching us, to understand how to protect your mental, financial, physical health in an ever-evolving world. We had some great insights being shared that can be useful for you and your loved ones during the lockdown and even after that. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget to stay at home and stay safe. Goodbye. This is Dr. Aditi Govitrikar.